Hello, everybody. This is Justin,
And this is Riley.
and today we are going to be talking about Full Metal Jacket. Uh, I watched this today, so I am prepped and ready to go for this video today.
I watched it today also. So, yes, we're both in the same boat.
So, something really cool that I have to share about this movie is, first off, I actually wish to talk about the history a little bit with this movie. Stanley Kubrick was inspired by the novel Short Timers. It was a very similar to like what happens in the movie, and uh, he said that he just loved the story because it's so kind of off the wall and like it's funny, and he just really enjoyed it, and so he wanted to make a movie out of it. And so he started production, and this wasn't the first war movie he had ever worked on. Like he had done Doctor Strangelove, and
Paths to Glory, Full Metal Jacket, and there's one more if I can remember it. Fear and Desire. That was the fourth one.
yeah, yeah.
Which that was his first one.
And a cool fact that I learned today is the drill sergeant that played in the movie. He was a real drill sergeant in the military.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was originally brought in as a technical advisor, and he worked with the actors to get them to train them how to act like a soldier. And he was
Yep.
doing such a great job that he ended up replacing the actor they originally had. And
I did hear about that. It was in my Stanley Kubrick documentary I watched a few weeks ago.
yeah, and the original actor they had in mind for the drill sergeant actually. Do you remember that scene in the helicopter? There's that guy that was shooting down, and
Yes.
and uh he was talking about how he has no problem like shooting like women and children or whatever.
Yes.
That guy was originally going to be the drill sergeant.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I did not know that. Lee Ermey, if that's how you say his last name, was the drill sergeant that you're talking about right now. And he not only had drill sergeant experience, but he also wrote 150 insults just for the movie to memorize for the scenes.
Wow, that's crazy. Vincent. I can't say his last name, so I'm gonna say his middle name. Vincent Phillip, who played as Leonard, the the kind of bigger guy. He had to gain 80 pounds for this movie.
Snowball? I think
No,
is no.
yeah, the guy that ended up like going bad and he ended up shooting himself, Leonard.
Yeah, wasn't his nickname Snowball
Yeah,
or Snowflake, one of the two?
something like that. Yeah. He had to gain 80 pounds for the movie. In fact, Stanley Kubrick apparently told him, "You look like you're about to kick somebody's ass," and he had him continue to gain weight. So that's kind of funny. But
How'd
uh,
you like the general's insults towards Snowball or whatever his name was? Like, you think that he was too aggressive with it, or how do you think that led to Snowball's suicide?
well, I definitely think that it was verbal abuse to a certain extent,
Hmm.
and and while
And you know,
we're
sorry,
just spectators, and we're just watching the movie, and to us, it's kind of funny hearing him say that kind of stuff. It's just I was humored listening to it at least,
yeah,
but seeing his reaction to all of it, that wasn't funny. And the scene that really broke my heart though was whenever he was going to bed, and there were his other soldiers that tried to like that were beating him up or whatever.
what were they hitting him with? I was confused about that.
Some sort of cloth, it looked like. I couldn't tell myself, honestly.
Maybe there were rocks in it. Maybe that's just a guess.
Yeah, I have no idea. But
Yeah.
you know, I this movie has an interesting meaning to it because like the way I see it, I think it's about the loss of individuality and dehumanization of people, and these people are just being trained to be killing machines basically. And I think what makes Joker, the kind of main character of the movie, really, what makes him interesting is he somewhat manages to retain some of that individuality in the movie. Like
Yes.
he has that little peace sign on his uniform that people keep questioning. But
Yes.
I think his whole character arc is he's slowly but surely becoming the cold-blooded killer that he was trained to be. Like towards the end of the movie, whenever he is told to kill the sniper, I think that was kind of the culmination of everything that led up to that moment, you know?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
uh, what meaning did you get for the movie? What did you get from it? I'm just kind of curious.
Um, I think it had a Paths to Glory type meaning with Kubrick's Paths to Glory and Full Metal Jacket. He made it in a way where he demonizes war, where war is some sort of negative impact on the world, and he fully expresses in the movies that he does not support the war and the wars. I mean, that's what I think. I think that Kubrick wanted to go anti-war in some of his movies, and in Full Metal Jacket, he wanted to express the reality of war in a very uncensored way, from being abused at boot camp to being in those situations in Vietnam when you don't even know what you're fighting for half the time there.
And you know, I definitely got that vibe too while I was watching it. A scene that kind of sticks out to me is one of the characters said we're shooting the wrong kooks or something like that, and
Yes.
that kind of reflects what probably was going through a lot of these soldiers' heads during the actual Vietnam War. Or as I
Yeah, I've seen about 6 Vietnam War movies this year, and each of them kind of makes the Vietnam War seem that way. Seem like it was negative and how it had no point. And the Vietnam War didn't have a win for the United States at the end. So what was the point of going to a different country and invading on a country's war when we had nothing to do with it?
exactly. I you know it. I don't mean to go into a whole political discussion for a minute, but I do think that, like looking back in hindsight,
Yeah,
uh, I don't think we should have done the Vietnam War. That's kind of my own personal stance on it.
people back then wouldn't have agreed with that, definitely, but people nowadays are actually starting to become smarter about that, in my opinion. And props to all the Vietnam War soldiers and veterans. Um, Thank you all.
Yeah, definitely,
It was,
definitely.
in my opinion, it was kind of abuse by the government. But yeah, yeah, away from that political stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I'm trying to think of something else that kind of stuck out to me about that whole dehumanization and like turning into a cold-blooded killer. I kind of think that Leonard is kind of the worst possible outcome of that. Like, I think that was the kind of the whole point of his character in that movie, is that like he kind of was starting to become exactly what he was being trained to become. I mean, I remember they were commenting on the fact that he was a really good shot. Like he was shooting really well, and I think
Yeah,
the ideals that they were instilling in him ended up becoming that drill sergeant's downfall in a way, ironically. So and that's so it's kind of interesting, I think. Uh,
yes, definitely. I'm
trying to,
trying to look up Leonard's Gomer Pyle. Was that his nickname?
probably. Also,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was true about Snowflake or something. I don't know where I was getting that, but whatever. Go on.
that actor, by the way, this movie pretty much launched his career. Like after he played Leonard in Full Metal Jacket, he starred in over 50 movies, and he thanked Stanley
You
Kubrick for that.
serious?
Yeah. Uh,
Wow. I'm gonna check out his movies real quick then.
yeah, yeah.
He's in Men in Black and
Really?
Jurassic World. Jurassic World also. The
Wow.
Magnificent Seven. Yeah, those are a lot of his top ones. Escape Plan, which I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, and uh, for the very first 37 minutes until his suicide, it kind of seemed like Leonard was the main character of the movie. I mean, Joker did not have the star part in the movie until after Leonard was out of the picture. And that might only be me, but I'm wanting to get your input on that.
I was kind of feeling the same way, and I remember thinking whenever he started to kind of go crazy, I was like, "Oh man, Stanley Kubrick really has a knack for like making movies where people kind of go insane." like
Shining.
it's true though. I mean, The Shining, Clockwork Orange, he
Um, the husband in Eyes Wide Shut kind of thought he was going insane.
yeah, he I guess that's just really something he enjoys, like telling stories about. So, it is entertaining. I mean, I definitely enjoy it. And
Yeah.
everybody talks about how the common opinion of this movie seems to be that everyone loves the first half in the boot camp, but then they get kind of bored in the
Yeah.
second half.
Yeah.
And I personally actually, while I do prefer the stuff at the boot camp, I was still enjoying the movie past that. Like
Yeah.
I still enjoyed it, and I think the second half is still important in driving home the message of the movie. So
Yes, I think that the second half drives the message of the movie better than the first half because I believe that the second half, of course, what we were saying earlier about the war, I think the second half proves that.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Which a lot of people get bored in those type of movies, so they try to find entertainment instead of the real meaning. So that's why most people think that the first half's better than the second half.
Yeah, yeah, and it makes sense. I think a lot of people really connect with the characters in the first half of the movie. They
Definitely.
I think that people just enjoy watching these characters, and they connect with what they're going through, and it's kind of cool to watch them kind of go through the training, and you feel like you're growing with them a little bit.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna comment on that in a minute, but I wanted to real quick say that we are doing a free digital giveaway for this movie, and if you comment below, you have a chance of winning it. I just wanted to say that before I gave my next opinion. My next question for you, Justin, has something to do with the training between Joker and Snowflake. If there was a fine line between the two, which I think that the two are completely opposite, and how they intake the the general's abuse, where do you think you would be on that line between them two? If you were in that training, put yourself in their spot.
run that by me one more time. I apologize.
My bad. So there's a line between the Joker and sorry, I don't know why I said Snowflake. What was his name again?
Leonard?
Leonard. Sorry, Leonard. Between Joker and Leonard, if you were in that training, where in between Joker and Leonard would you be as one of the people training?
I would probably lean a bit towards Leonard. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know if I would necessarily, like try and kill my drill sergeant and shoot myself or something like that, but I think that I would definitely go through a lot of the same struggles that he went through as far as like the actual struggle of the training, like physically
And the
being.
abuse of it.
Yeah, yeah, and being able to physically keep up with it. I know I would definitely have trouble with that. I'm not the most physically fit person in the world, but
I I 100% agree with that. Completely, yes.
And Riley, if me and you were both in that boot camp, I feel like you would be the Joker to my Leonard, like 100%. No homo in that like phrase. I mean it. Like I feel like
Got
you would be the one kind of trying to help me.
I feel like you would be way too nice for that place.
You're probably
They,
right.
they just throw you right in the Air Force.
Maybe I don't even know. So, what rating would you give that movie like in general?
That's what I was about to ask you. I most movies I agree with an IMDb rating and stuff like that, and this movie I most definitely have to agree with the IMDb rating of an 8.3 out of 10.
See, I don't do decimals typically, so I'm just gonna stick with an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for me. Uh, and I agree. Eight out of 10 is the definite sweet spot. Um, you
I
know,
just the reason why I do decimals is because I think that Full Metal Jacket is an 8.3, while Doctor Strange is an 8.5, proving that Doctor Strange is better than Full Metal Jacket in my opinion. That's why I do decimals.
okay.
But go on.
Uh, we spent all this. we've
When they get that out.
we've spent all this time talking about the acting and like the meaning of the movie and stuff, but I also kind of want to address Stanley Kubrick's directing real quick because I think he did a fantastic job as always. I mean, the cinematography
Always.
the cinematography in this movie is really great. Uh, it feels really raw. Like whenever you're like, I hope I make sense when I say that. Like whenever like the battle is going down and stuff, and towards the end of the movie, you feel like you're there, like in the field. Like the way it's framed, the way it's
Yes,
shot.
definitely. And yeah. I think he meant to do that in a way, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was kind of. I noticed it was a little shaky at times. I think there was some handheld work going on there, but
Yeah.
it worked. It wasn't like too shaky because that kind of bothers me. It's kind of nauseating when when the camera is way too shaky. It kind of bothered me in Man of Steel, for instance. But I think it was a good balance where it wasn't like nauseating to look at, but it was still cool. It enhanced.
And realistic.
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
that's why it's known as an uncensored war movie. Which
Uh,
I mean, leave it to Kubrick to be uncensored.
yeah. And back to the shaky cam thing. I don't mean to dog on Man of Steel for a minute, but Man of Steel really is the example of how not to do shaky cam.
Yeah.
It bothered me because I saw that movie in theaters and it drove me nuts. I had a headache by the end of that movie.
Yeah. Um, just while we're talking about Kubrick's directing and going away from the movie just for a few minutes, what's your ranking of the movies that you've seen? I know that I've definitely seen more Kubrick movies than you, not to brag, even though you've known about Kubrick way longer than I have, so there's obviously a problem there. What is your ranking of the Kubrick movies?
Of the ones I've seen, and I'm gonna rectify how many I've seen. I plan to really dive deep into Kubrick movies, but of the ones I've seen, for me it's The Shining, uh, 2001: A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, and then Full Metal Jacket.
Yes, and if I'm going off of biased, or no, if I'm going off a factual ranking from the movies that you've seen, I would definitely say 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then A Clockwork Orange, The Shining, and Full Metal Jacket. But from a biased one with your list, if I only watch those four movies, I definitely would say A Clockwork Orange, The Shining, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then Full Metal Jacket.
Wow, you really loved A Clockwork Orange, didn't you?
Yes. I mean, sorry, I said yes like I just watched it yesterday. Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's a fantastic movie. I definitely understand where you're coming from. Uh, my only thing is like sometimes I judge a rating just on like would I watch it again, and I feel like I can see myself watching The Shining more often than A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, definitely. I'll totally watch The Shining 10,000 times, and I'll only watch A Clockwork Orange 10 times. I would definitely do that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the entertainment value really does play a part in my rating a little bit. But, you know, I also judge it for other things like the acting, the cinematography, the story, and the writing. That's all super important, but the entertainment value is definitely a factor as well, I feel. So,
If my ranking has Full Metal Jacket better than Eyes Wide Shut, but if we go off of which one I would rather watch more times, I would totally watch Eyes Wide Shut more times than I watch Full Metal Jacket.
okay, interesting. I need to
Which
watch that still, so I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut? Yeah, you
No,
have.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, you've seen it. I know for a fact that you've seen it, and yet
Okay,
you didn't put it on your list. So I'm guessing that you would put that as the last one on your ranking.
yeah, I guess so. You know, it's been a while since I've seen it, so maybe I just need to watch it again sometime because
Yeah.
it's been a long time. I think I was in high school whenever I watched it, and I graduated in 2016, so
Yeah.
it what was I gonna say? But that's super interesting. How many Kubrick movies have you seen? I'm trying to remember.
8, and I'm gonna name them in order: A Clockwork Orange, The Shining, Doctor Strangelove, 2001, Space Odyssey, Full Metal Jacket, Eyes Wide Shut, Pass of Glory, and Lolita. Those are mine ranked 1 through 8. I'm going to watch. There's only 4 other movies from him that I haven't seen, and I'm planning on watching them within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, awesome. By the way, we're gonna get off the Kubrick topic next week. I don't think we've decided what movie we're gonna do
Yeah,
for next week.
definitely.
I don't know what we're gonna do next week. We'll probably discuss it once this video is over, and then leave it for a surprise for you guys, just because that's more fun, I feel, than
Yes.
just.
I would love for us both to watch Barry Lyndon and do a review on it next week, but we've been on Kubrick for a while, and I'm pretty sure Justin ain't gonna watch Barry Lyndon for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, you know.
But we're really not gonna try to stay on the same director 2 weeks in a row, or
Yeah.
3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Matter.
But as far as other content, I know Riley has some movie reviews that he wants to upload. He sent me recordings, and I am like the editor, so I have to put it all together. But but he does the writing. You know, he records it and he sends it to me, and then I put it together. I just haven't posted any of it yet. But
my Alien review was supposed to be my first one, and I've done a lot of takes, and I still haven't got the right one sent to him, so that's why none of my reviews are being posted yet.
yeah, the only review we have up is my review for Superman. So
Which check out. It's a great review.
yeah, yeah. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a childhood favorite of mine. I must have watched it like a billion times when I was a kid. So, anyway,
Yeah. On my ranking list, you think anything needs swapped around?
not that I can think of. I'm mostly okay with it.
All right. So you want to start the next topic or me?
Go for it. You can start
Okay,
it.
so since the 50s, when Kubrick made Paths to Glory, he always had a deep down desire.
Say that again. You cut out.
And he never accomplished that in his life. Oh, sorry. From Paths to Glory in the 50s, Kubrick always had a deep down desire of having a Holocaust movie, and that never ended up happening in his lifetime. But if he did have a Holocaust movie, how do you think it would have went?
You know, I kind of wonder, cause Steven Spielberg and Stanley Kubrick, if you didn't know, were like really like close pals. I kind of wonder if it would have been something similar to Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Did you
Schindler's
know-
List?
I have not. What year is it?
It came out in the early '90s, I want to say. It won Best Picture that year, and it's directed by Steven Spielberg. That's why I brought it up. Let me look up the
Yeah,
year.
I have not seen it.
It's a fantastic movie. It's like 3 hours long, so it's an investment.
8.9.
Yeah, yeah. It has Liam Neeson in it. It's pretty much the movie that put Liam Neeson on the map, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1993. So wow, same year as Jurassic Park. That's crazy. But yeah, I kind of wonder if it would have been something similar to what Steven Spielberg did with Schindler's List.
Did you know that Steven Spielberg actually got the idea for Saving Private Ryan from Full Metal Jacket?
Did you know that Steven Spielberg famously did not like The Shining when it first came out?
I did not know that.
He
Damn it.
I don't
That movie
remember.
got hate back then, though.
It had very mixed reception when it first came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't, and I think Steven Spielberg has since warmed up to it actually, over the years. But at the time that it released, I remember him saying that he didn't like it. But
Yeah.
that's super interesting about the connection between Full Metal Jacket and Saving Private Ryan, though. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, Saving Private Ryan definitely is the better movie, but he sort of got the idea from Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan. That's a brutal movie, though. Like, if you want a movie that's like about the horrors of warfare, watch that movie or Hacksaw Ridge. That one's a pretty good one too.
Yes, definitely.
But
What do you so going back to the movie? What do you think of Sergeant Hartman's acting? I mean, we've already talked about his insults and stuff like that. Do you think that he was the perfect actor for the movie?
oh, I couldn't imagine anyone else in that role. I'm kind of glad that it turned out to be him and not the other guy.
I agree.
Because like just looking at the other guy whenever he was in the helicopter, he was entertaining for the few seconds he was in the movie, but like I can't see him being
Yeah,
the
definitely.
the drill sergeant. But
How'd you like Animal Mother's acting? You know who that is by name?
yes, I know who you're talking about. He was great. He was funny. I enjoyed his performance a lot.
Did you know that Arnold Schwarzenegger, sorry if I said that wrong, was actually supposed to play that part, but he declined it?
How come?
I didn't look at how come. Yeah, I should have looked at that. But and if he played Animal Mother's part, would it have been better or would it have been worse than the actor that it ended up being?
It's hard to say, but uh, Schwarzenegger is known for like his action movie roles, like Terminator and stuff like
Yeah,
that. It would have been a kind of awkward performance. I feel. I feel like the guy they
I,
chose.
I agree. I was thinking that exact same thing. Awkward. That word awkward.
Yeah, yeah. It was super strange. I don't know if you've seen the Terminator movies, but that first Terminator movie, he's not really the Arnold Schwarzenegger that we think of in that one. He's a bit more serious in that movie. It's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I like his acting in that movie.
yeah, Terminator 2 was whenever he really kind of became the one-lining like person we think of when we think of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Which
Remember, he was in the Fairly Odd Parents, right?
oh, he was. You're right.
Yeah.
I That's crazy. Did you know that Adam West played as Catman in that show?
Really?
Yeah, that was Adam West.
Wow. Somehow we're talking about Fairly Odd Parents.
This is how things go with us.
So, what do you think about iCarly? No, I'm just kidding.
Great show. It should have been on primetime TV, but anyway, what was I gonna say? That was the most ridiculous phrase I think I've ever said in my life. Wow. But back on Full Metal Jacket. The music in that movie was super interesting to me because especially whenever it got dark, like I don't even know how to describe it. It just sounded very different. Like you get what I'm saying? Like
Honestly, I made a huge mistake and didn't pay attention to the music that much.
well, I really only noted it at the darker moments of the movie, like whenever Leonard got up in the middle of the night and
Uh-huh.
went to the bathroom. The music in that scene was
Yes.
very
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I do remember that. Yep.
the music was very ominous and dark and like
Mhm.
it felt like something out of a horror movie almost. Like it kind of reminded me of the music from The Shining a little bit.
Yeah. And when that music started playing, I think most people could have guessed what was gonna happen in that scene.
Yeah, I mean, the second he started getting those kind of like that crazy like expression on his face, like earlier in the movie,
Like,
like
throw
the
him in The Shining, why don't you?
yeah, yeah. Uh, that's when I knew that things were going downhill for that guy. And I was like, something terrible is gonna happen. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I absolutely loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic. We're at the 30-minute mark. I think we should call it a close unless there's something else you want to bring up or talk about.
Um. Uh. The whole movie was filmed in England.
Really, really, that's
100%.
yeah, that's super interesting. I did not know that. You know, I believe Star Wars was shot somewhere in that area. Believe it or not.
Yeah. I did
The
not know that.
yeah. Hold on. What studio was Star Wars shot in?
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Our average view time is 2 minutes. I think we can hit like 39 minutes or something if you want.
Yeah, it was filmed in Pinewood Studios in London, so never mind.
Got it.
It wasn't the same place, but it was
Oh, in
around that
England.
area. Yeah.
Okay. So, Matthew Modine, who played Joker,
Yep.
he did you hear about his wife having a kid while they were making the movie?
I did not know about that.
Well, his wife went to the hospital because her water broke, of course. She was in that procedure to have birth. And Kubrick did not let him go see his child be born. So Modine grabbed a knife and put it up to Kubrick's hand while they were on set and threatened to cut his hand open if he didn't let him see his wife give birth.
Wow.
So, what do you think of Kubrick's original decision to not let him go see it?
I mean, honestly, that's pretty hardcore. I don't know if I agree with that decision myself.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that Kubrick, that he knew that the actors were so much in the mood, probably at the time that it was happening, that he didn't want the mood to go away for that day,
Yeah.
and which I think that he still should have let him, but yeah,
Well, Kubrick has always been very like hardcore with his
definitely.
I don't know if you knew this, but in The Shining, that moment whenever the father Jack, that was his name. Whenever he's like going up the stairs and the wife has like the pan in her hand or whatever,
Yep.
and she's like,
It was,
"Stay
I think
back."
it was a bat.
It was a bat. You're right. I don't know why
Yeah.
I don't know why I said a pan. Sorry, everybody. Uh, that scene, they had to reshoot that sequence like a ridiculous amount of times. I don't remember.
I love that scene.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact count, but it was to a point where the actress was literally about to like break, and that's why like if you watch the scene, whenever she like looks like she's going insane, it's because that's like the 100th take they've had to do of that. So
And yeah, Kubrick's a pretty hardcore director, and that's something that's pretty great about him, and that's a reason why his movies are so great too.
yeah, he was known as the I said it in the last video. What was his title? He was like extremely detail oriented. Like every
Mhm.
little detail mattered to him. Like
Yes, definitely.
like he had that shot that whenever like the blood was coming down the hallway in The Shining, they for understand they worked on that all the way up until like maybe like a month at the most before the movie came out.
Yeah.
They worked on that almost till the end of the production of the movie because like he wanted it perfect. And I remember the phrase he kept saying was that it didn't look like blood. He kept having them reshoot it and change the consistency of the liquid and all kinds of stuff to where it looked like blood. And
Yeah.
he didn't want it to look fake, I guess. Which, I mean, that is kind of a danger that a lot of horror movies fall into. Is a lot of times you'll look at the blood and be like, that looks fake. That's not what blood looks like. I mean, it happens more often than you think it does.
Yeah. So, sorry, were you gonna say something?
Especially in modern day movies when they use the CGI blood, sometimes it.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even know why they use CGI blood.
I think it's because maybe like it's more convenient and like then the actor doesn't have.
More convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's maybe it costs less because then you don't have to hire any makeup artists to put the blood on the actor and all that stuff.
Yeah. What do you think of the scenes with the prostitutes? I know that that's a really weird question, but why were those in the movie?
I don't know, sex appeal. I mean, I mean,
and they were the exact same almost.
Yeah. Well, you know, Kubrick has that kind of thing all the time. I mean, there's like, you know, Clockwork has like 3 sex scenes in it, I think it was.
Eyes Wide Shut has, I'm guessing over at least 20.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's not afraid to put that kind of content in the movie.
Uncensored director.
Yeah. Yeah. Even in The Shining, there's like that nude girl that was in the bathtub or whatever that like.
That was one of the freakiest things I've seen in a movie.
Yeah.
And when he started hugging her, when Jack did, remember that?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was like, what the heck? I still don't understand that, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'll save that for another video.
Yeah, we could talk about The Shining some other time.
Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about in that movie.
Yeah, yeah. I need to rewatch it because I haven't seen it in like a year. So
I'm gonna rewatch it soon, even though I just watched it last month. Kubrick originally had the Joker dying at the end of the movie.
Really?
You think that would have changed the reviews and the ratings that the movie has today?
Well, you know, I don't think I would have liked that myself because I kind of like the character art that he had with
Yeah, I think that from where they have it now is a good ending.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would have been a mistake.
Yeah, which is why Stanley Kubrick decided not to do it.
Yeah. He's such a good director. He knows he knows how to get things done and do it well.
He knows.
Yeah.
He's the all-knowing director.
And you know, he's not perfect. He definitely has some like problems occasionally. Like I feel like we praise him so much, but and he's a fantastic director.
His movies are so good.
I think
from the cinema view. I mean, besides Fear and Desire, of course.
Yeah. I think the only hurdle his career faces is he's very like artsy, if that makes sense. Like I think some people can get bored with his movies.
Yeah.
Because they may not understand what the meaning is, especially like 2001: A Space Odyssey, for instance. That movie's definitely, I don't think, for everybody's enjoyment. I think some people, like, it's not my best friend has a very short attention span. I would not show him 2001: A Space Odyssey.
You know, I was just thinking, you can do a 40-minute review on each one of Kubrick's movies. I mean, we could do it on The Shining, we could do it on Doctor Strangelove, The Space Odyssey, even Eyes Wide Shut, his last film we could do it on. You could just do so much reviews on his movies and still have detail left over.
Yeah, yeah. It's very true, and if you would want us to do that, let us know, because I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
Yes, I love talking about Kubrick. So yeah, if you want us to do it, mention that, because we probably won't do it together unless y'all mention it. We'll probably just do it by ourselves. That way we don't overdo Kubrick. in these long videos. Unless you all want us to, then we're totally down for it.
Yeah, yeah. But
Totally.
next week is gonna be a totally different movie, totally different director. I don't know exactly what we're gonna do yet. I think maybe covering a Marvel or a Star Wars movie or something like that is what my mind is looking towards right now.
If you want, we can do the episode 4 through 6 next week.
Oh, just talk about the trilogies. Yeah,
Just 4 through 6, though.
yeah. For like next week we can talk about episodes 4 through 6, and then next week we can do the prequels, and then the week after that we can do the sequel trilogy.
I say we don't do it in 3 weeks. I say we do one a month for the next 3 months.
That can work. We can.
That way we can have time in between to talk about other stuff.
That makes sense. That'd be nice. Yeah, because I want to talk about like the Spider-Man trilogy, the Tobey Maguire. I want to talk about the Indiana Jones
Tobey
movie.
Maguire.
Oh, I want to talk about Indiana Jones.
Yes.
I want to talk about the Dark Knight trilogy, the Back to
Knight.
the Back to the Future movies. You know, there's all these movies that I love that I would love to talk about on here.
We don't need roads.
We could talk about all the other Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Superman 3 or 4 are hot garbage. Hot garbage.
Yeah.
Oh my.
We can also talk about Christopher Nolan, which I think we're going to be doing next month because Christopher Nolan has a new movie coming out on August 17th if you want to check that out.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about his new movie when it comes out. Like, definitely. I 100% agree with that.
Well, we can talk about him as a director, too. I think I only have, like, one... No. I finished all of his movies whenever I watched Memento, so I'm actually done with his. If you want to watch a few movies by the time his new movie comes out, we can talk about that next month if you want.
That can work. Okay, I'll try and get some more Nolan movies in then, I guess.
Oh, all right. Okay. What do you think of the peace symbol on his uniform while having a "I was born to kill" helmet? The controversy in that.
Okay, so the way I see that, I think that plays into the loss of individuality theme that I brought up earlier, because he has that peace sign, and the Born to Kill thing is two conflicting ideologies, and I think the Born to Kill thing, that's the ideology that his drill sergeant was instilling in him, but the peace sign, that's like what he's holding on to, you know?
Perfect explanation.
Yeah, that's where his heart is, and that's the way I see it. And I do think that final scene when he kills a sniper, that kind of represented a sort of loss of a certain level of his innocence in a way, because I mean, what's super interesting is earlier in the movie he was repulsed at the idea of killing a woman, like in that scene in the helicopter when that guy is shooting down on the Vietnamese people down there.
That was a sick scene, and that's just so true in how the Vietnam War went.
Yeah. The point I was going to bring up, though, was it's so interesting to think that he was so repulsed at the idea of shooting a woman in that scene.
Yes.
And then later at the end of the movie, he ended up doing it, you know?
Yes. Fully agree.
And so I think he lost a certain part of himself whenever he did that. And I also find it's kind of funny at the end of the movie, you have that scene, and then you cut to the very end of the movie, and they're singing that Mickey Mouse song. Only Stanley Kubrick could pull something like that off, just going from really dark to kind of silly within like a short span of time.
Yep. Great explanation. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Very, very few directors can balance tones like that, and I think Kubrick does a really good job at that.
Gosh, I love Kubrick, and I am so thankful for his films.
Yeah, me too.
If you want to get more into film study and stuff like that, you need to watch his films. If you completely skip over him as a director, then you're obviously doing something wrong.
Yeah. If you're studying film, some directors I think you need to take a look at are like, you need to watch movies like Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz. Those movies are so influential back in the day. You need to watch
Have you seen Gone with the Wind?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was my mom's favorite movie, so I watched it with her a lot growing up.
I'm watching it this month before the end of the month ends.
It's a good
Go
movie.
on.
It's a really good movie.
Like 4 hours though.
Some key movies also. You need to watch like Casablanca. You need to watch a lot of the movies from the 50s, like a lot of the movies in the 50s had to do with like the Red Scare and the weird the fear of nuclear warfare and stuff like that. A lot of movies in the 60s, like Kubrick's movies. A lot of the movies in the 70s that kind of reflected the cynicism towards the political landscape in at that period of time. The 80s and the escapist movies like Star Wars and Back to the Future, the 90s, all of these different eras of movies, they're all important. And
This is how I see movies compared to music. Music had a down point in the 90s. If you don't agree with me on this, sorry, I don't even know why I'm mentioning it in this video. Music had a down point in the 90s, while movies stay consistent and always have high points at least once every 10 years.
yeah, I think the last really low point we had in movies was the mid to late 90s.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a bad period of movies because like we had like the Phantom Menace come out in 1999, which I'm not the biggest Episode 1 fan. We had like the Godzilla movie from the American Godzilla movie, which was hot garbage. And we had all these movies that came out during that period of time that just weren't that great in my opinion. But
Yes.
there were some gems in the late 90s. We had like Titanic, which was a big movie that came out in 1997.
Huge, and I love that movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah, so there were still some good movies that came out in that time, but I don't know. In the early 2000s had some rough patches, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. If you can't get into the Titanic, quit looking at it as a romance and look at it as a high point in film because the movie is truly great, even if there is all that romance in it that makes it seem like a girl movie.
Yeah, I can see that. You see, that kind of thing, I don't really like make movies gender specific, like a romance movie.
Definitely. I hate when people do that.
Yeah, like a romance movie is a romance movie. It's not a girl movie, like quote that from me in 2016. A romance movie is not a girl movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We can say romance movies for another discussion. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a great one.
This is gonna be a weird and confession for me, but growing up, I kind of enjoyed chick flicks a little bit.
I did too.
Like, there's definitely some bad ones, like Mamma Mia. I can't stand that movie. Oh my gosh.
Jerry Maguire. That is a great movie with Tom Cruise, and it's just pretty good. If you're gonna get into romance, watch that too.
Yeah. Anyway, how did we get here? How did we get to this topic?
I'm confused. You're right. You are.
Oh my gosh. This is us, guys. We go way off topic sometimes. I apologize.
How did that happen? I'm confused.
I don't know. All right. Well, I think we're going to call it a night. Thank you guys for listening. If you stayed all the way through, we greatly appreciate it.
Remember, if you comment below and either share it or give us a subscribe, you have a chance of winning a free copy digital of Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. He has the digital code for you. He'll give it to you. Thank you guys for watching. We will do another video together next week. And beyond that, we're gonna try and get some movie reviews out. So anyway, we will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.